Hey guys, I'm gonna do a story time on my ex-boyfriend, Donovan Martinez, who's a liar, a manipulator, and a cheater. And boy oh boy, do I have a story for you guys. Receipts included. So, timeline, we started talking July. First hangout was end of July. We went to a crew game. I met his parents and I met his sister. On the very first day, he met my mom and he met my sister. Everything is going great, very nice man. At least that's what I thought. So we're hanging out and then we began dating on August 9th. And another little background, I go to OSU and he goes to Hiram, so he lives about 2.5 hours away and he goes for soccer. So he left about 2 weeks after we began dating, and obviously long distance is kind of hard, but I didn't really think anything of it because when I'm in a relationship, I trust you, and if you fuck up, that's on you, not on me. So to start off, immediately as soon as he got to college, he started talking to all of the girls. He would text freshmen, he would text sophomores, he would text girls from Kent State, all while we were dating. And okay, fast forward to everything that actually happened, because I want to put his ass on blast, because you're a bitch, and I don't like the way that you acted towards me or towards any of those other girls. So to set the scene, in October, end of October, we decide that we're going to go out for Halloween. So he comes down, and we go out Friday night of Halloween, which I think was actually Halloween, October 31st. So we go out that night, and the entire plan for that was I was going out with my sister, so we went out to frats first, and I couldn't get him in because I didn't know any frat brothers. So I was like, you know what, we can just meet up after, we'll go out, we'll go to the bar, and we'll have fun. You'll meet my friends, I'll meet some of your friends, or one of your friends, and it'll be great. Keep in mind, we had been dating for 2.5 months, no, almost 3 months by this point. And okay, first picture, proof. That is, sorry, my iPad's dirty. That is us together on Halloween. I'm Red Riding Hood, and he's the fucking wolf, okay? Matching Halloween costumes. And then the problem began that night, because we're in the car with his friend, and I'm sitting in the back, obviously a little deep, and I decide that I'm gonna peek over his shoulder because I'd had problems with him, and I would tell him, you follow way too many girls. He follows 3,000 girls on TikTok, 3,000 girls on Instagram, and I didn't think that was fine in a relationship, there's no reason for you to be following 6,000 girls across 2 platforms when you have a girlfriend. Okay, so we end up getting together. I get dropped off near his friend's house. We're in the car, and I decide I'm gonna peek over his shoulder because I want to see what this man is doing. I have my suspicions, but I can't act on anything if I don't have proof. And lo and behold, did I get the proof that I needed? So you're wondering what you just saw? That was my boyfriend in the same car as me texting another girl, sliding up on her story saying, "Where are you? I want to see you." Yeah. So obviously I decide that I'm going to confront him because I'm with my friends now. You piss me off. I'm not letting you treat me like that. So I bring it up to him and I go, "Where are you at? I want to see you." This man acts like he had no idea what I was talking about. Refused to speak on it. Literally refused to speak on it. He would not talk to me about it. And I was bringing it up, and he would just be like, "No, I don't want to talk about this right now. I don't want to talk about this right now. Can we talk about it tomorrow? I'm not in the right state of mind to talk about this. Let's just have fun tonight." And I was like, you know what? I can't make you talk. I know what you did. I have proof. So that's that. Next day comes, so Saturday. And instead of deciding to speak to me in person, like any man would, his little fucking bitch ass decides to get in his friend's car and drive back to college so he didn't have to face me in person after he found out that I caught him. And by the way, during this time is when I find out he's texting another girl who he used to speak to in April. I didn't find out about any of this till yesterday, but just in the time frame, he texted another girl saying that he was having a horrible time at OSU and that he wanted to leave. I wonder why. Maybe because you dug your own grave. So yeah, that's the whole first point, but now we get into the actual juicy stuff of this. There will probably be a part 2, because I will be putting everything about this man on blast. I don't care, you fucked me up, you fucked yourself up, you did this, so I'm letting everybody know what you did, that you're a cheater. So fast forward, again, Saturday he left. That just did not make me feel good, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to deal with that. I'm better than this, I deserve better. So Sunday night, I end up breaking up with him, November 2nd, okay? Keep that in mind. November 2nd is when I broke up with him. So we dated from August 9th till November 2nd. Immediately when I break up with him, he just accepts it. Next day, he starts texting me, apologizing for everything that he did, being like, I want to try again, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do this, like, you're worth everything, like, I'm just a piece of shit, and I suck, and I take full accountability, and I will do better, and all this stuff. To which I replied, glad that you're taking accountability, but your words mean nothing unless your actions actually reflect what you're saying here, you know? And I will admit, we hung out this past Saturday. He came over to my house, we made sock monkeys, and he bought a Lego set that I ended up doing with my sister after. So yes, we were broken up from November 2nd till now, but we hung out, right? We hung out one time because I've had the worst 2 weeks of my entire life. I got emergency surgery, my grandpa left, my dog died. So, you know, it's just been a lot, and I needed someone there just for comfort. That was it. I did not plan on getting back together with that man. Even if he thinks I was, I'm telling you right now, there was nothing that was going to get me to get back together with you. So let's just leave it at that. But then yesterday, this is when everything else comes out. So love girl code, and I love you, girl. I'm not going to say your name. You know who you are. And Donovan, you know who she is. I get a DM, the typical DM, and I'm reading it. It says, "Hey Queen, did you date Donovan, last name, from August till November?" And immediately I knew he cheated on me, because why else would you text a girl about a man? Also, the fact that she knew the exact dates we dated, I was like, there has to be other people that know. And boy, was I right. This is the DM that I get from her. So I saw him on the T app. I've known him since April, and we've had relations since then. I saw in the comments that he had a girlfriend between this time frame, but we were hanging out since then. I DM'd the girl who commented that to get some extra knowledge about it and to possibly get your Insta, so she gave it to me. I just wanted to reach out and tell you this because he's obviously not a good person, but I just needed to confirm that this was true because I would hate to continue to talk to him and have this in the back of my mind. So when a man is on the T app, that is how you know. Red flags. Which, let me read his profile to you, by the way. Donnie, 19, he has 2 green flags, 9 red flags, okay, 9. And all the comments read, how's your girlfriend? He was fucking 2 girls at once. He's a hoe. Cheating, lying, manipulative son of a bitch. Don't fuck with him if you can help it. Had a girlfriend and was still flirting with freshmen and every woman who breathed around him. Love bomber to the max, and if you call him out, he lies. Which, all true. This man would lie himself out of any situation. If I asked him anything, oh, we're just friends. Oh, you're overreacting. Oh, like, no, it's not what you think it is. I know what it is. My intuition was right. Then in the DMs between the girl that told me and this other person on the T app, it says, wait, girl, he had a girlfriend like last month. And the other one replies with, yes, she broke up with him November 2nd. Weird that they know the dates, but still. And then another thing that she said was, he also confessed his love for me in October. While we were still dating. Sorry, y'all, I love to talk, but I'm putting both of these up at the same time, so you get part 1 and part 2. Don't worry. But basically, he confessed his love for this other girl in October while he still had a girlfriend, that being me. And I'm not going to show who it is, but in the screenshots, okay, this is the girl that told me, this is the other girl. The other girl says she doesn't go to Hiram, but I have her Instagram. Yes, he did, and then she broke up with him a week after because he's weird as fuck. And then the girl said, what's her Instagram? And then they said my Instagram. So glad, yeah. And then, girl who told me goes, so I fear I've been talking to this man since April. Yeah. Yeah. And then this is just where it gets even worse. Even worse for you, Donovan. Because I have everything that you said. So let's just scroll. Okay, now we're getting to the juicy stuff. We're gonna call the girl Sally, okay? And this is all from yesterday. I have screenshots, by the way, so you can't lie and say that I'm lying, because I got proof, okay? So Sally goes, she brings up everything on the T app, she writes it, and she sends it to him, and she goes, so I don't know who you're hurting, but, and then Donovan goes, damn. And Sally goes, yep. Donovan goes, that's crazy. And then she goes, who are you possibly hurting this much? He goes, nobody, for real. And she goes, right, obviously someone. And then he goes, like, dead ass. And then she goes, now you got other bitches. You have to be hurting at least one. And he goes, swear I am not. And then she goes, you swear you're not hurting them? Have you ghosted anyone recently? And he goes, no, I haven't. Yes, I swear. So he swears that he's not hurting anyone. Okay. And then she goes, well, have you had a girlfriend before? Like, I'm trying to figure out who be commenting this, because what? And then he goes, girlfriend before what? And she goes, oh, sorry, October, when you told blank, the other girl, you were in love with her. And he goes, I didn't tell blank I was in love with her. And she goes, why am I being told that you did, though? And then he goes, I didn't tell her I was in love with her. I told her I liked her a long time ago, but I was never in love with her. And then she goes, okay, but did you date Carla last month? Keep in mind, these texts were sent yesterday, okay, yesterday. And this man, he goes, broke up before last month. No, we didn't. No, we fucking didn't. We broke up. I broke up with you November 2nd. So we were still dating. We were still dating in October, and we were still dating in September. And then she goes, so you broke up in September, you lasted a month? And he goes, And then she goes, right, are you serious? What was going on August to November? And then he goes, what do you mean? And she goes, what was going on August to November? Tell me the truth. Did you have a girlfriend? Lovely Donovan goes, no, I didn't, being honest. I couldn't find any pictures in my phone because they were all on Snapchat. But let's just look. Let's take a look down memory lane. August 24th at your sister's quinceañera, where I met every single one of your family members. Every single one. Okay, this is cut off, but it's August 5th. Then we went to a soccer game with my dad. With my fucking dad. Or how about this? September 14th, when you came over to my house. Like, or how about the time that we went to the fair? Or that we went to another soccer game? Or that we went to go out to eat maybe like 5 or 6 different times. Like, or when we went shopping. What about those times? What about those? But moving on, she then goes, what was going on August to November? Tell me the truth. Did you have a girlfriend? And he goes, no, I didn't, being honest. And then she goes, Carla Rodriguez, doesn't sound familiar. And he says, yeah. And then she goes, you weren't dating her from August to November 2nd? And he goes, November 2nd, no. And then she goes, oh, sorry, October. Right, so you still lied to me. And he goes, about? And then she goes, how about having a girlfriend after I asked you multiple times and you said no? Like, why not just tell me about it? And he goes, I don't know, and I'm stupid not to because we're friends. And then she goes, right, because that. Okay. So then he proceeded to tell Sally, I know what I did, but I was trying to fix things. I was fixing things. I know what I did. I was going to do it on my own time, because then she goes, if you were trying to fix it, you would have told her everything right then and there. And then he goes, I was going to do it on my own time. You don't have to text her again. It's my relationship, not yours. I know what I did, and I was going to fix it. Stop acting like I did you wrong, because I didn't. So overall, just want to say, Donovan Martinez, you're a bitch, and you deserve every bad thing that's happening to you. You thought that your little fragile ego would feel better because you pulled more than one girl, and then you decided to go and fuck up a relationship in which I did nothing wrong. And I can confidently say that I did nothing wrong in that relationship. Ever. So it's all on you, buddy. It is all on you. But anyways, let's just circle back to some other things that I need to clear up. So circling back to Halloween night that we went out, keep in mind matching costumes, right? Next day, this man posts on Instagram, and I'm looking through the Instagram being like, oh, we're gonna get a photo, or I'm gonna get featured, because keep in mind, we had pictures of that night. Instead, this man decides to post pictures with other girls, and all of his friends, not a single post with me in it. So obviously I'm irritated as fuck, and I sent him a DM, and I say, loving the feature, because yes, I'm salty, and I'm gonna say something about it. To which then he replies, you're irritated because I didn't put you on the Instagram post? And then he goes, you're a part of my life and everyone knows about you. Clearly not. And then he goes, just because I don't post you on social media, it doesn't mean they don't know about you. You're more than a social media post. And you know what I think about that, Donovan? I think the real reason you didn't post me was because you knew that every other girl that you were talking to was gonna see that. Because even one of them commented on that Instagram post. Oh, so I guess that's why you didn't want to post me. Not because I'm worth more than an Instagram post. And then also, keep in mind again, we dated. We were dating all of October. This is, and I'm not going to show the girl, so you're going to get Desmos. This is a picture of him hanging out with a girl at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. October 18th. Which you ask yourself, why would a man who has a girlfriend be hanging out with other girls at 5 a.m. and not tell his girlfriend, unless he was doing something? And then last thing, you guys know we broke up November 2nd, right? November 3rd, he starts apologizing, begging to get me back, blah, blah, blah. Then this is him, November 4th, at dinner with a girl, at dinner with another girl, while he was trying to make our relationship work. And this is my favorite part, so if y'all stay till the end, please. 3-minute video of me confronting him on FaceTime yesterday after I found out everything. And let's just say that this man, guilty. I want to ask you something.
What?
Can you tell me why you were telling people that we broke up in September?
What's up?
And you going out to eat with girls while we were dating? And hanging out with girls while we were dating and telling them that we weren't together?
I literally just went to Olive Garden.
So I'm not going to post the whole thing, I'm posting snippets. His response, I literally went to Olive Garden. Like, that makes it any better? I don't know, like, okay, I guess I should be happy it was in a steakhouse, like. We broke up in September?
I didn't tell anyone we broke up in September.
Are you sure?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure. What?
So you cheated on me?
No, I didn't cheat on you.
You literally cheated on me.
No, I didn't.
You cheated on me.
I didn't.
You did. And I have proof. I have literal proof that you cheated on me and that you told people that we broke up. So I just want to end with this, Donovan. I caught you. You can't lie yourself out of this one, buddy. You're manipulative, you're a bitch, you're a cheater, and you're a liar. You also were texting other girls asking to spend the night while we were dating, thinking that I wouldn't find out. Well, I did. Here's your karma. You didn't cheat on me with people from Kent. Don't even try. Like, I know you cheated on me, and I know you cheated on. Yes, you did. So don't even try. Don't even fucking try to lie and say that you didn't cheat, because you did, and I have proof, and I know that you did, and I know who you did it with, and I just think it's crazy, but that shows how bad of a person you are. You're a little bitch, and I fucking hate you, and I don't ever want to talk to you again. So fuck you, bye.
Get ready for bed with us while we tell you our extreme rules our parents have for us. First, for every 2 gallons of gas we want in our car, we have to run a mile. So if I want like 10 gallons of gas, I have to run 5 miles. Every time I need a refill of like a skincare product, I have to basically prove to them that it actually works. So my whole face has to break out before they'll buy me a new skincare. The next one is we can't wear black because they think it's demonic. And if the color is too dark and too close to black, we can't wear it. We have to change. Yeah. Okay, if I ever want to hang out with friends, my parents have to go and tour their house. Oh, and to go along with that, they also have to have our friends' locations because
that's weird.
They want to make sure that we're both out of trouble. And if they ever like around our friends and they don't like the vibe of them, we can never talk to them or hang out with them ever again. And they shut off our Wi-Fi at 8 o'clock, so even if we have friends over, their Wi-Fi gets shut off too, and their phones go completely, like, off. But also, most of the time, they're not here past 8, because our curfew fluctuates depending on what time the sun goes down. So, currently, it's, like, 6:30, but sometimes... And even during summer, they try to, like, have it earlier, and we'll make it, like, 7, even if the sun doesn't go down until 8:30. Yeah, but sometimes we, like, kind of convince them, but it's, like, very rare. We're also not allowed to question, like, the beliefs or religion of our parents and, like, what they raise us by because it's disrespectful. Even if we don't like it, we have to go along with it. Yeah, like, so when they go to church, we have to go to church and we have to act like we like the church and believe everything. And they make us, like, take all these covenants and things, even if we don't believe it. Yeah. Okay, next, the rules change depending on the mood. So say we're grounded for, like, 2 weeks and then they get mad at a different sibling, we get grounded for a month. It doesn't make any sense. We could be grounded for a month, but not all the time, but most of the time. Most of the time, they'll either add, like, a few days or, like, a week or 3 weeks. Like, a lot of the time during the year, their rule is our phone is confiscated at 8:37 because that is when people tend to get in trouble, apparently. But most of the time, they'll take it right as we walk through the door for curfew. Yeah. So if you have anything to hide, it better be gone by then. Next, we have to, like, sign up to use the bathroom. We have, like, a whole sign-up sheet on our phone, and we have to sign in, say what time we're using it, and for how long. And we have to sign out. You can only be in there for so long. We can only spend a max of 30 minutes in the bathroom. So, like, if any longer, we're doing trouble. We're not doing good things. Yeah, like, she signed in right now, but then, like, as soon as her time is up, I'll sign in. So then it's, like, doesn't look weird. Yeah. We're not allowed to talk back to them or, like, explain ourselves in a situation, like, at all. And, like, it's considered disrespectful if we try to explain ourselves. And we're not allowed to cry. If we cry in front of them or they walk in on us crying or catch us crying, like, we could be grounded for weeks. Like, last week I was crying in the garage because my boyfriend, like, broke up with me. And they literally started yelling at me how I needed to be a better girlfriend, and that wouldn't happen with me. Yeah. Okay, so we're not allowed to read any books unless it's the Bible. So every single night, we also are forced to read, like, at least a chapter a day. Yeah, but, like, we sit around in a circle, and we have to go, like, scripture by scripture. And, like, we're assigned who says prayer, like, before and after. And one person has to share their testimony every day. Yeah, it's really awkward. If our location isn't working or, like, it's not loading fast enough or glitching, we're immediately grounded for the next, like, either it could be, like, the next day, like, just one day you can't leave the house, or it could be, like, a week or 2. Every minute we're late for curfew, it's an hour earlier we have to come home the next day. And for the hour that we come home earlier, we have to do chores the whole time. And we can't stop until, like... Till they tell us to, or till, like, our time is up. Yeah. Or, like, even if we're done with all the chores, like, you better get on your hands and knees and scrub those baseboards because there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, so we can both have TikTok, but they have to have the logins to every single account. So we both have a secret account, and we sign out of those every morning and night. Yeah, and they're, like, every family member and, like, friends that our parents know are, like, blocked on this account because we don't find it. But also, like, I'm 17 and I'm allowed to have, like, Instagram and Snap, which was, like, a brand new thing. But she's 16 and not allowed to have any of it. She can only have TikTok, which honestly, like, TikTok is worse than Instagram. But...
Get ready with me while I talk about the time where I was 15 and I snuck out of the house with a 23-year-old man. This was probably one of the dumbest things I did, so I 10 out of 10 would never fucking do this again. Alright, so basically this takes place in 2020, like peak 2020, bitch. It's like the summertime, okay? And I was like, oh my fucking god, I like haven't seen my friends in forever. So like I was sneaking out of my house like regularly during this time, okay? And so I was like, I think I had like a boyfriend or we were talking. I don't really fucking remember, to be honest. but I remember thinking, like, I really want to go see him, and I wanted to go see my best friend too, because she also was like kind of with this guy's best friend. And so I was like, okay, I can like get us a ride to go out to this park to go like see these two guys that we're seeing, okay? And so I fucking text this guy on Snapchat, bitch, okay? And first the fuck off, he knew how old I was, which looking back on it now, that's like actually weird as fuck. But he was like, yeah, I'll come pick you up so you can go see your friend. And I was like, could you get us alcohol? And he was like, yeah, like, what do you want? And so he dead ass went to the fucking store and got me what I wanted. And then he picked me up, okay? And this was like the first time I had met him. Like previously, like prior to this, he literally would just drop alcohol off like on my front fucking doorstep. Like that was what we were fucking doing, okay? And so this is like the first time I'm actually seeing him. And so I get in his car and he's like, okay, well, where do I need to take you? And I was like, well, we actually need to go pick up my friend. And so we go to pick her up and she gets in the car and then we go over to this park. And me and my friend and like these two guys, like we're all hanging out under this like pavilion thing. And this guy literally stayed in his car. Like he did not fucking leave the car. Like he like just stayed there and he was like, I just want you to have a good time. And I was like, okay. So it started getting late. It was probably like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, okay, I need to go home because my mom is about to wake up. And so I get in the car with this guy and he goes and drops off like the guy that I was seeing and then my friend. And so I'm the last person in the car with him, okay? So as we're driving back to my house, there are these like apartment complexes that they are building and they're like almost finished. And he looks at me and he's like, hey, do you want to go over to those apartment complexes? And I remember thinking in that moment, I was just like, oh my fucking God, like he is going to like do some fuck shit to me. So I was like, no, like I really need to get home. Like my mom is gonna wake up soon and like I really don't want to get in trouble. And he was just like, oh, okay, like it'll only take a minute. And I was just like, no, like I need to go home. And so he just passes by the apartments and he goes to take me home. And I sneak in through my sister's window and I literally blocked that guy and I never spoke to him ever again after that. I have a lot of stories like that where I would sneak out of the house and do absolutely fucking ridiculous batshit crazy things because I was young and really fucking dumb. Honestly, I kind of miss it, I'm not gonna lie, but that was probably like the worst. Like I could have really gotten hurt. Something really could have happened to me that night. And God was with me. So that is the story. And yeah, I still sit and think about it. And like, I'm only 21 and I just think like, that is so disgusting because at 15, I looked like I was 15. I did not look older than my age. I've never looked older than my age. So yeah, the guy is weird.
So I've been keeping a secret for almost 2 years, and I think for my own mental health's sake and just getting it off my chest, that maybe I won't have nightmares about it anymore, because I feel like I've accepted it and I've let it go, but obviously I haven't because it keeps replaying in my mind over and over again. And my therapist says I should just probably listen to my nightmares and tell people the truth about what happened on the night that I lost my job and subsequently my nursing license. I didn't lose my nursing license, I surrendered it. And the reason I surrendered it is because I felt like if I accepted the Board of Nursing's punishment, that was also me agreeing, taking 100% of the blame for what happened that night. And I'm not saying that I didn't do anything wrong, but to this day I still feel and believe that I wouldn't go back and change anything and that I did my best. I think part of what's kept me from being open about it, because I'm very much an overshare type person. I tell people, like, I have no secrets, I have no privacy, I've been that way forever. But this is the one thing in my life that I have not told anybody about, or very few people about, because I feel like nobody wants to hear from nurses that aren't ones that are saying, yes, I'm 100% guilty, I take full accountability, I don't want to come off like I'm a victim, like I didn't do anything wrong, but I am still bitter about it, and I think a lot of it was fucked up. It's also very shameful to be one of the nurses to lose your license, because that's what they're going to say. Oh, she lost her license. And I associated a lot of my identity and my self-worth with being a nurse. I was a labor and delivery nurse for 7 years. I used to work at a level 4 labor and delivery unit before I moved to a smaller rural hospital that was a level 2 labor and delivery center. So I guess we will start with that night. I was a night shift nurse. I came in for my shift a little bit early because we were doing a simulation with University Hospital, and I volunteered to be the primary nurse, and it was great. It was easy. When I was done with the simulation, both my bosses came up to me and said that University was so impressed with me as a nurse, and then my bosses were like, man, if when shit hits the fan, we want you. Because I was really good at my job. So to have that said to you on the same night that is also your last night working as a nurse is very much whiplash. So I got report pretty late. Not late, probably like 7:30. So I didn't assume care of my patients at 6:45 or 18:45 like normal. And the day shift nurses were still taking care of my patient. My patient, and this is what I remember from 2 years ago. It was May 2024. So it's almost 2 years. I'm going off of my memory. I'm not reading a script. I'm not good at making videos or talking to a camera. I'm just gonna let it flow. Here we go. While I was doing the simulation, my patient was getting an epidural. Now, you need to know that she was a 6 o'clock a.m. induction, and that they broke her water at 8 a.m. when she was 1 centimeter. She was also GBS positive. Okay, she was getting antibiotics. That sucks. Like, that's just not okay. But that's the culture, that's the hospital, that's what they do. And then, so now I'm dealing with it at the end of a very long day, very long labor. I want it to be known that after her epidural, she had 1 late deceleration. In the chart, no doctor was notified. That's important. Nobody notified the doctor that she had a late deceleration. It's been 30 minutes since I've received her. And our facility, our Pitocin guidelines were to go up 6 by 6. Up to 36 if necessary. So I don't even remember how dilated she was. I'll probably go back and look at my documents to see how dilated she was, but the thing is, she was now gonna be prolonged ruptured. GBS positive, just got an epidural, not making much progress. Things are fine. I'm going up on it 6 by 6 every 30 minutes. Now, she was really hard to trace. Like, her baby's heart rate was really hard to trace. And she did have some decelerations. The baby always recovered back into moderate variability, and that just means that at that moment in time, they are well oxygenated, not in trouble. Everything's fine, you may continue. And anytime she would have any type of early, late, variable deceleration, I would go in there, adjust her position, either give her an IV bolus, and she would be fine. The baby would recover. The doctor came in about between 9 and 10 at night, I want to say. Oh, she was 4 centimeters, I think. Yeah, she was 4 centimeters. He looked at her strip. He looked at her chart. He gave her a vaginal exam. Told me everything was good and to keep going. So I did. At about 1 o'clock, she was completely dilated. And when people go through transition in labor, it's very tumultuous for the baby. It is not an unexpected anomaly that the tracing is sometimes erratic. But like I said, the baby would recover back into moderate variability and we would continue. And I was always there at the bedside fixing her monitor so I could hear the heart rate. And other nurses will tell you that even if you can hear the heart rate, sometimes it won't register on the strip. I'm going to have to make a part 2. This is part 2 of how I lost my job as a labor and delivery nurse and subsequently my license. In my last video, I had just told you that she had got to complete dilation at 12:30 a.m. And to summarize, she was 4 centimeters at 9 p.m. to complete at 12:30 a.m. When I received her at change of shift around 7:30, her Pitocin was at 6. I had gotten it up to 30 by that time. Our unit goes 6 by 6. I didn't go further than that. She had an IUPC, which is an intrauterine pressure catheter, so I was monitoring her Montevideo units to make sure that they were within. At 12:45, I called the doctor, let him know what had happened, and that she was completely dilated and I was going to begin pushing with her. At that place, they want the nurses to start pushing until the head is about to come out, and then you call the doctor. I only pushed with her through 13 contractions before I called the physician back to let him know that the baby was not recovering with pushing efforts and not regaining any type of moderate variability. So that was at 1:18 a.m. And we had done all the things, IV bolus, oxygen, respiratory therapy was there, baby catcher nurse was there. Everything was ready for delivery. So the doctor gets there, takes out her IUPC. I'm continuously trying to find the fetal heart rate, which is really hard to find. The baby was getting tachycardic into the 180s. It is now 1:48, and this is when it starts to suck. The doctor had requested forceps. The OB tech left to go get forceps. When she returned with the forceps and opened the package, there was only one half of the set in there. It was an incomplete package of forceps. She looked at the doctor and was like, "There's no more." And he yelled at her, "I need forceps now." So what I do have is a vacuum. I put it on the table. I can see the presenting part. It would have been more than appropriate to use a vacuum. And some of you will know and understand that some doctors have a complex about using forceps. This doctor was one of them. It's a thing that they want to be known at being good with forceps. This doctor was not good at using forceps. He would always opt to use forceps over a vacuum every single time. I don't think in the 2 years that I worked there that he ever used a vacuum. Later, my charge nurse comes back with a complete set of forceps in which he cannot articulate. I looked at him straight in the face, in the eyeballs, and I said, "Here's a vacuum." Then he proceeds to tell us to call anesthesia in preparation for a cesarean delivery. It isn't until 2:01 that baby is delivered with forceps. That baby spent 12 minutes in the birth canal waiting for forceps to be used when a vacuum was right there. And I just want to emphasize that it does not matter if it is the healthiest baby in the world prior to delivery, or if the baby had an awful labor. No baby is going to tolerate that. That baby came out physically injured with marks from the forceps. And you can imagine the lacerations that the mother had as well. So remember, this mom was GBS positive. The baby was born with terminal meconium, with a heart rate less than 50, requiring CPR and intubation and subsequent transfer to a higher level of care to another hospital. The APGARs were 1, 2, and 8 at 20 minutes. One thing that would have made monitoring this labor a lot easier and consistent would have been the use of a fetal scalp electrode, but we couldn't use one for 2 reasons. One, they didn't exist in the hospital because there was a shortage. We didn't have any. And even if we did have any, then we couldn't use it because she was GBS positive. There was a lot of gaps in her fetal tracing where I was in the room trying to find the baby's heart rate, repositioning her, etc. So I'm going to reemphasize, to this day, I feel like I did the best that I could, provided the best nursing care that I could, in the situation that I was in, with the resources that I had. Okay? My charge nurse was there. Everybody knew what was going on. She was the only laboring patient. So I go home that morning, and I'm not worried. I know I did my job. I know I did it well. I have nothing to be concerned about, nothing to be worried about. I also want it to be known that that was my last day of work because I was scheduled to go on 2 weeks of PTO. And I was called by my boss that afternoon after I'd woken up because apparently the family was threatening to sue the hospital, and to CYA, I needed to go back and chart more stuff. And she was making it seem like I didn't chart at all. And I'm like, I did my charting. But I went back that afternoon. I found some spots where I could explain more stuff, even though it felt like double charting to me because I did a lot of narratives in the delivery record. So I went back and charted. The doctor walks past me and I'm like, how's the baby? And he's like, good, considering it didn't get any oxygen, and kept walking. And I didn't perceive that for what it was, an attack on me, a blaming on me. I was just thinking like, yeah, it sure didn't get any oxygen during those 12 minutes where you wouldn't use a vacuum. That's all that was going on in my head. Then I get a call from HR that I can't go back to work. I'm not allowed to talk to my coworkers. And we'll see how I behave during this time off, which I'm already on PTO. Gonna have to make it part 3, running out of time. This is part 3 of how I lost my job as a labor and delivery nurse and subsequently surrendered my nursing license. I was on PTO at this time. HR had just called me, told me I couldn't go back to work. That's when I started to worry that I was going to lose my job. It seems trivial at this time or at this point, but like the vacation I had planned to go on, I had been spending all year paying for, looking forward to, and so, as a result, I couldn't enjoy it because None of my coworkers were speaking to me, which, like, I know I couldn't talk to my coworkers, but I saw these people as my friend, and I feel like they never asked for my side of the story. And when I hear that quote that if they don't ask for your side of the story, that means that that's how they felt about you already. So there was a lot of betrayal in that. Felt betrayed quite a bit. So that was May 8th, right? My last day being there. It's not until May 31st that they call me back in to fire me. They wanted to make sure that I couldn't use any of my benefits, like my health insurance and whatnot. They showed me screenshots of stuff that I had posted on my private Facebook. And I just wanted to be known. I never listed where I worked. Nobody knew where I worked. I didn't have any friends from work on my social media. So I had this false sense of security, even though it's been beaten into our head not to post about work, okay? And what I posted it's trivial. It's not like I gave out details or whatever. I also historically had posted a lot of good about work, about how I loved my job, about how great it was to work there, and the people there as well. So, HR apparently will ask somebody on your friends list to screenshot your private page and send it to them. And the person that did it was not smart enough to remove their name. And that person is well known in the horse community here in Texas as Barb Whitmire. You couldn't have paid me to ever think that she would do such a thing. I've never done anything to her at all. The charge nurse was my good friend, and she was there that night. Like, we associated outside of work, we rode horses together, type of stuff. The charge nurse was also a client of my Judas, the person that took screenshots, so I don't know. So on my way home from being fired, I called her up on the phone, and that's a big deal because I don't use my phone for that. I said, "Why would you do that?" And she said she was just concerned about me, and I said, "So if you're concerned about me, why don't you talk to me? Riddle me that." So apparently that's not the first time she's done that to people. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Then I find out that I was also reported to the Board of Nursing by the day shift charge nurse and my two bosses. Now, I didn't have any beef with nobody there. Nobody on day shift, nobody on night shift. I got along with everybody. Like I said, I love where I work. I wasn't a social butterfly. Sometimes I'm a little introverted, and people can take that the wrong way. And I kind of felt like the charge nurse that did this didn't like me. It was kind of like mean girl energy. And it's crazy because maybe it was almost her feeling like she had this newfound power all of a sudden, because suddenly she was the maternal program manager. And which is weird because she sent PHI to my cell phone, which is a HIPAA violation. And me being the person that I am, deleted that and just was like, well, I'm not going to say anything. I just don't want this on my phone. That's a HIPAA violation. But she did that. that is something worthy of being reported to the Board of Nursing for, but I'm not like that. And when they say that your reports to the Board of Nursing are confidential, they are in a sense that they redact your mailing address. But I can see who wrote it and what you said, your entire report. And it started off with her being at the nurse's station. I don't know if she was being charge nurse that day or what, but she wasn't so much a labor and delivery nurse, she was the mother-baby side. So she would take care of after the delivery part, not so much the labor part. And she would be charge nurse sometimes. But she started her report with saying that she overheard the physician talking to somebody else at the nurse's station saying, "I wish she would have just told me," inferring that I had not told him about the late decelerations that the patient was having. So then she proceeds to rifle through this patient's chart, which, may or may not be kosher, because typically you don't do that if you're not assigned that patient. But if she was charge nurse that day, maybe that made it okay, or maybe because she was the maternal program manager that made it okay. I don't know, but she did. And mind you, I had gone home from work. I was sleeping. I had not yet been told by my boss to come back in and chart more stuff to CYA. So she makes all these assumptions based on how my charting was, and they're wrong. She claimed that while my patient was having a late deceleration, that I was not in that patient room for 9 minutes. I was in the patient room with the physician and the charge nurse, repositioning the patient and dealing with what was going on. They never talked to me. They never asked for clarification. They assumed the worst. And before I had even woken up that day, they had already reported me to the Board of Nursing, and I didn't find out until months later when I requested the entire information so I could defend myself against the Board of Nursing. I'm going to have to come back and make a part 4.
Who is this? Leave me alone! Damn it!
So this is part 4 of how I lost my job as a labor and delivery nurse and why I surrendered my license. I just got done talking about how the charge nurse from that day shift had reported me to the Board of Nursing based on hearing gossip at the nurse's station and going through the patient chart. Now, I want to remind everybody here that the patient was very difficult to trace. Her heartbeat, the baby's heartbeat. I was in there all the time. I was at the patient bedside all the time. So I was either repositioning her, taking care of her, giving her meds, whatever, because frequent position change is going to get the baby out faster. Like, at this point, we need to get the baby born. She's been laboring all day. She's GBS positive. She's made awful progress all day for her to be 4 centimeters at 9 p.m. after being probably a 6 o'clock a.m. induction that morning. And ruptured since 8 a.m. So, this is serious now. We need to get the patient delivered. So, after 9, obviously, that was when she was 4 centimeters. But it was shortly after that she went into transition. And I'm flipping her back and forth. I'm in there physically holding the monitor on her belly. Can't use a fetal scalp electrode because there are none in the hospital and she's GBS positive. What they're getting me for? Well, first of all, they wanted to blame the entire baby's outcome on me. even though the physician was in the room doing the delivery for the last hour. Do I think I caused that baby's injuries? No, I do not. What they're getting me for is, so there's 3 categories of fetal tracings. Category 1, which is good, we want to be there. Category 2 is, some D cells. I'm trying to keep this to a generic audience because I don't want to lose people in medical lingo. But category 2 is kind of like, oh, we need to watch. Use caution. It's like green light, yellow light, red light. Okay? And then there's category 3, which means that the baby needs to be delivered by cesarean, stop the induction. And I will admit this, okay? I worked through some decelerations during the labor process. Now, remember, I got the patient at 7:30 p.m. and the baby was born at 2:01. So that's just a couple of hours that I've had her. And I am at her bedside a lot. I'm not sitting at the nurse's station like this, watching the patient chart, the fetal strip at the top of the screen. I'm not doing that. I'm in the patient room. Sometimes she would have early decelerations, sometimes she would have a late. The doctor was in-house. The doctor had the fetal monitoring in his room. And he had just been in the room at 9 p.m. when we checked her, when she was 4 centimeters. He reviewed the strip. He knew what she was going through that night, told me to continue. And I did. But the point of this is I can admit this because I'm looking in hindsight. But during the time, I could not recognize that she had moved into a category 3 fetal tracing. And it wasn't like an obvious. It was literally like, okay, now you're at 51% late decelerations. That qualifies as category 3. But I'm working. I'm taking care of the patient. I'm managing the labor. She's going through transition. I know the baby's moving down really fast. Like subjectively, everything that's happening is an expected outcome of what the process is. I'm not scared of it. This is what I do. And every time, the baby would recover back to moderate variability. And I had worked with this doctor enough to know, like, what we were comfortable with, what he expected, blah, blah, blah. We cluster our care at night. And so, like, they're claiming I didn't tell him about these late decelerations. That's why he was saying, I wish I would have known. In my mind, these are all expected. And they're not like, it's not like the ugliest strip in the world. It's one of those strips where you look at it and you're like, oh, that baby's coming out. The baby, and that's what was happening. Like, subjectively and objectively, that was what was going on. The charge nurse was on board, knew everything that was going on. It all made sense to her, made sense to the OB tech, made sense to everybody that was there. But they're saying that it was a category 3 strip. And that's why it was my fault for why the baby came out that way. Now, I think the baby came out that way because, I mean, it sucks that there's a nuchal cord. It sucks that the baby was OP, which is sunny side up. Things that we didn't find out until after delivery. And, a nuchal cord will also give you the variable decelerations and whatnot. So, like, again, we can see that there's head compression, there's possible nuchal cord. Of course, there's going to be lates by now because she's been ruptured since 8 o'clock in the morning. She went from 4 centimeters to complete in just a couple of hours. Like, I didn't blow the baby out with Pitocin. I know people think 30 units of Pitocin is a lot, but it was over several hours that it got to that point. And all within the policies, okay? I think the baby came out the way it did was because when the doctor asked for forceps, instead of using a vacuum after the forceps arrived incomplete, he just waited. He just sat there with this glazed look over his face, like he could afford the patience. And if there's one thing that I could change, I could be like, use the vacuum, come on. But I'm also having to consider that I'm not trying to scare the patient and her family or undermine the doctor at that time. So they got me on that. And the board of nursing also got me on the fact that my patient took off her pulse oximeter while she was pushing in labor, because it was one of those big bulky ones, and it's common for them to take that off. Like, it wasn't a big deal for us. But I didn't chart it. I didn't. So they're saying I wasn't, like, monitoring her vital signs correctly. But she did have her blood pressure cuff that was going off every 15 minutes. And every 15 minutes, you could clearly discern the maternal heart rate from the fetal heart rate. Okay? So they got me on patient autonomy. And then they got me because I listened to my boss about coming back and charting later. Like, I was just listening to my boss. And they're saying that because I didn't chart that it ruined the continuity of the care. And I disagree, because what I charted, to me, was enough. Plus, you have report in which you tell everything to the oncoming nurse. The baby wasn't even in the hospital anymore, and the mother was on postpartum. Case closed. Part 5. This will be part 5 of how I lost my job as a labor and delivery nurse. And hopefully this will be the last part. So that's the story. That's what happened that night. Still, I feel like I did the best that I could and took appropriate action. I feel like the board of nursing was really nitpicky with what they found against me. I did get them to admit to the fact that the physician had a part to play in why the baby came out the way that it did. So it says that in my orders, but they wanted to suspend me for 2 years, put me on probation. There was this laundry list of requirements to get my license back. And the way that I feel about it, I felt so betrayed, because let me tell you, the stories I could tell of working in that facility that were god awful. This didn't even register as wrong in my brain, like, because this facility did and made me complicit in performing a C-section on a Spanish-speaking only woman with 0 anesthesia, no anesthesiologist, and her baby was already dead. That's the worst one. There's lesser offenses, and all that shit gets swept under the rug. So of course, me doing my job to the best of my ability on a night where my bosses said that if shit hits the fan, they want me because I'm that good. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that the charge nurse didn't defend me, didn't stick up for me, because there were plenty of times I have stuck up for her, like when the house supervisor was making her cry. I went to the HR head lady and was like, this is not okay. Like, I've had their backs for a lot. But it was so easy for them to throw me under the bus, and I'm bitter about that. I'm bitter about the fact that the day shift nurses that didn't report the late deceleration didn't get reported to the board, didn't lose their license. But I did. I find it very hypocritical, unfair. Life is unfair. I do feel like a scapegoat. I feel like, I feel like I was used. If the family really wanted to sue, I feel like maybe I was used as a pawn for them to not sue. Like, oh, we fired the nurse, okay? Don't sue us. I feel like it was overkill to fire me, because I tell you what, they would have hated me as a nurse from then on, because any deceleration, I'd be calling up on that phone. Hey, this person had a decel. I know why she had a decel. It went away and it's fine now, but I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you every time. It's going to piss the doctor off. I would have never made that mistake again, let me tell you. I feel like it was overkill to fire me. I had never been in trouble before. I feel like it was overkill to report me to the board. I'm a 100% disabled veteran. Thank God for that, right? I mean, otherwise, like, I'd have nothing. But ultimately, I did not have money to hire an attorney to represent me in this case, like defend my license. Because at this point, I feel so betrayed. I don't want to go back. At this point, I'm surrendering my license because that's the only way I can stand on business to say, I didn't do that. And what I did doesn't deserve this. That lady, that video going around of the black woman sitting there having a child in a wheelchair while that bitch fucking sits there and just asks her dumbass questions. If that was my patient, she would have been checked. She would have had an IV. Her labs would have been down. So in case I could have gotten her an epidural in them 30 minutes before that baby come out, I would have done it. That labor kit would have been at bedside. Fuck that charting. Okay? That's the type of nurse I am. I'm taking care of the patient. And I don't want to go back to that. After this happened, and kind of still to this day, and still on TikTok, I don't want to see stuff about labor, pregnancy. I can't watch it on TV. Like, I'm just bitter about it. Like, you know what I mean? I felt betrayed by my friends. Like, those people I thought were my friends. And they threw me under the bus. Just like that. I would have never done that. Never. It is so easy to say, this is what happened. And it makes sense. And I have her back. But no, they didn't. And it's like, to add insult to injury, this happened during Nurses Week and Mother's Day. Happy Nurses Week to me. Happy Mother's Day to you. I mean, I'm a mom too, but you know what I mean. Like, I just can't understand why they would be like that to me. And it's something I won't ever get closure from. Everybody's blocked on social media. Their phone numbers are blocked. I don't talk to anybody. You know, I have nightmares about running into these people and they hate my guts. But when I tell them what happened, they're like, oh my God, that fucking sucks. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And that actually happened last week. So, as a side hustle, I do pony parties and petting zoos. And every once in a while, like that weekend, I ran into somebody that I used to work with there. It was an anesthesiologist. And I said, yeah, I used to work there, but not no more. And I'm not a nurse anymore either. Kind of gave him a Spark Notes version of what happened. He's like, wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I'm like, but it's like in my nightmares, I get like this sense of validation, like, I don't know. And it's like, my license is, not my license, my career is trashed. I could go through all their hoops. I could do their suspension. Nobody's ever going to hire me again. Too much of a liability. So why do it? Why go through that? I would have to be absolutely destitute to go through that. And I don't want to be a nurse anymore. I don't. That ruined it for me. Like, you know, in nursing school, they tell you all about you need to protect your license. But they don't really explain that sometimes it's because doctors and your friends are going to throw you under the bus, not necessarily that you did something god-awful wrong or hurt a patient. You're just disposable. Even if they say, when shit hits the fan, we want you. And you're great, blah, blah, blah. That's my story. And, like, it plays in the back of my mind all the time. Like, why? Why did that happen? But I'm so much better off because I get to stay home every day and ride my horses. I'm a better mom to my kids. My kids are happier. I'm home every day to be with my wife. Like, I'm living life, and the universe removed all the distractions, so now I can focus on myself and my dreams, and I just need to let this go so I can enjoy the present. And, you know, I'm happy to answer questions. I don't have anything to hide. So that's my story. Thank you for hearing me out, and yeah, maybe you learned something. Cautionary tale.